Now, let me go back to Mr. Wilson-Jack. Now, in many climes, election day is not a day of lockdown. So what is the purpose of locking down Nigeria because of an election?
Well, I can't justify why we lock down the nation and the economy, but I know why they do so. They think that if people move around, that such people are likely to influence the people, the voters. The usual argument about movement of thugs, or they don't want traffic jams. They don't want electoral officers to be caught up in the traffic jam and getting to their polling units. The fewer people on the streets makes it easier for the police to keep law and order. Now, many arguments could be made for it, but it's unnecessary. In my experience as a state electoral commissioner, we visited countries, we understudied how elections are held in other places, and in many places we observed people voted on a work day. Yeah, you vote on your way to work, you vote on after dropping the keys off in the school. And I think the point that Mr. Yomi made is the underlying issue, the element of trust among other values, that absence of trust, truth, honesty, and dishonesty. We don't trust each other. That is why we have to print ballot papers in England, when the ballot papers for Lagos State could be printed somewhere in Oshodi, and that of Rivers State somewhere in Port Harcourt. But we don't trust ourselves. So we have these layers of bureaucracy, which of course, as he put it very clearly, organizations organize, among other things, how to spend the money. So when you create these bureaucracies, you spend money. We need to pay a little more attention to building a more civil society. If we have the right principles and values, there are many things we can do without, this huge budget that we provide for elections. So perhaps we should spend a lot more money in the educational sector than in just trying to organize an election one day in 4 years.
Is it just about trust? You have said, okay, we should look into education. Let's also look into infrastructure. Let's look into the system, making it work. If we want to vote from our homes, if we want to vote on our way to work, that means there's a structure. That means there's a system that works. Like I can use my ATM card, whether I'm in Borno or I'm in Lagos State. So shouldn't we start first with the structures to put a system in place? And how long do you think this will take us?
The people education comes first. You can always get along even with less infrastructure. Now, whatever infrastructure we put in place, I'm an advocate for electronic voting. But right from my university days, even before the internet became an in thing, at the University of Ife, we voted by computers. In those days, we used to shade to vote for student union offices. And they were counted by the computers of those days. So I've seen elections rigged even with computers. The banking system we talk about, they are trying to perfect that, but people still steal money that doesn't belong to them. So anything is possible. But the point we are making is that, yes, the electronics have their problems, but they are cheaper. They will be much cheaper. And if we build the society, if we educate the people, if they have the right values, then they are not likely to cheat. We are likely to get along with whatever infrastructure we have while we continue to put things in place. That is why we build bridges and people still go there and steal the railings of the bridges. Those are infrastructure, but people don't see the connection between the public property and being honest and being truthful, among other values. So I think infrastructure, beautiful. But we cannot run away from building the people and building the society in terms of education.
Okay, Mr. Mabinuri, the issue of security is also coming up because part of this 242 billion naira, went to security and, Okay, police dog, we have the National Security Advisor, allocated 4.2 billion, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Nigerian Immigration, you know. If we take care of security issues and we have a better a society that is less likely to, you know, have issues in terms of security, will it also help us, you know, cut down on the spending for elections?
I think we are the architect of our own problem, if I may put it that way. There is need for security because that is the way we want it. We just want the security guys to have a cut of the national cake. Why do we have security in the first instance? It's because we are still doing ballots, thumb printing, and what have you. What if I had voted while going to work? There will be no need for agents at the polling units. There will be no need for agents at the wards. There will be no need for election monitors, people monitoring election, whether local, domestic, or international. There will be so many things not needed. So we need security because we still want people to come to one particular point at a particular time between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. For join a queue and vote. And we have to put security in place to avoid any unexpected. So to avoid all this, let's just go electronic. It's very simple. It will save us cost. It will save us time. It will save us human lives. Look at the number of lives that we've lost. I was counting the cost the other time. I've not even gotten to human aspect of it. And even the so-called our education. Just recently, I was this election. I was embarrassed as an academic. How do I mean? Why do you have to bring a professor? Do you know what it's going to be a professor of a university to a national TV and he cannot see what he has written by himself? Saying, okay, I need touchlight, I need ruler. It's a slap on our education. We can avoid this by one time as you are voting, transmit the voting, whatever, electronically. You don't need to expose. If you have a foreigner now bringing a student, for instance, to Nigeria, and they say, oh, see your professor, I cannot even read what he has written, then I don't need to come here. These are costs. The cost, if you continue the cost here today, we won't live here. There's so many implicit costs that we're not even looking at. So why do you have to look at even the stress on human health? I want, you know, an average human being, every human system will shut down if it doesn't sleep for 7 days consecutively. I wonder how this even next time how they do it. But they can't sleep. The nation is resting on your shoulder. So why do you have to stress people unnecessarily and unduly, risk their life without? I don't understand. Because we have been doing this thing since time immemorial. And they said insanity, I keep saying it again, is doing things the same way, and doing things the same way and expecting a different result. A guy was there, I think 2 weekends ago or so. He said, we can't talk ourselves out of a problem we walked ourselves into. We have to work ourselves out of the problem. So we created this problem ourselves. So we can't just say, let's just, oh, God, devil is a liar, and God will do it. This is that. These are Nigerian hopeful prayers. Let's be realistic. Let's face. I don't know. I'm really getting angry. Seriously.
Okay. Don't be angry, please. Mr. Faway, Dami Chance is saying on Twitter that elections can be cheaper by having cameras in each polling booth. Okay, we want to have cameras. We want to vote electronically. How soon do you think we can get to this point? We have 2023 ahead of us. Is it possible that time?
There's nothing you don't need time for anything. You only need time to decide it. Once you decide, you do it. There was an American president who decided that he was going to put a man in space. At that point when he made that declaration, the technology was not available. But immediately he set that agenda, he set that vision. People start to run. That's what leaders do. Leaders don't start to compare whether the vice president is richer than the president or whether the president is poorer today. That's not what leaders do. What leaders do is they set big visions, big audacious visions. That's what they call it. That everybody hears and runs with it. So if we decide, for example, we want to do it, it's just a decision we need to take today. And then everybody starts. So what happens is towards it. So what happens 3 days ago? The U.S. president has been talking about building walls. Then some scientists got themselves together and said, you know what, we can create a scientific solution that does not need a wall. So the point is that if we decide, we can get it done. What is happening to us is that we take a lot of time to decide. Our president went to appeal 3 times on his election. Unfortunately, he has not decided to change anything about it. Okay. Decision is what determines destiny.
So we should take that decision now ahead of 2023. Thank you so much for coming on this morning. Education expert, Yomi Fawayemi. We have also an economic analyst, Oladotun Mabinuri, and the Executive Director, Public Education Works Initiative, Nime Walton Jack. Thank you for joining us and sharing your thoughts with us this morning.